that there are new threats. I mean, I'm giving you a bunch of motherhood, but it's all the contextual stuff that I feel I need to do. One of the things that's really changed since we did our last strategy in 2010 is the fact that there's been a real significant increase in the economy going digital, and the fact that cybersecurity is essential to our economy and our economic prosperity. Organizations and businesses and academia face huge financial and reputational risks with this new environment. And cybersecurity is the foundation of economic security, but there's a difference between that security and prosperity, because the economic prosperity piece is founded on innovation, domestic, sovereign innovation and capability. And so in this respect, it's essential, not just that we innovate. Everybody says, oh, we have to innovate, we have to innovate, we have to come up with new products and services, but you have to protect it. So the protection of our intellectual property and our research is primordial in terms of that economic prosperity piece. Beyond threats to businesses and academia, obviously critical infrastructure is a regular target that we need to pay attention to. So in 2017, the WannaCry ransomware attack, it impacted critical infrastructure in the ICT sector, and the global estimated cost there was about $4 billion Canadian. And so obviously, as we've all seen, the trends suggest that the vital assets and systems that are underpinning our daily lives are coming under increased attack. Also, they're increasingly interconnected, which means when you're hitting one piece, it has the potential to cascade not just into the rest of critical infrastructure, but into our own lives and impact, ourselves, our families, and our children. So some of the ways that this is happening is going to be facilitated through 5G. 5G is going to blanket us in technology. It's going to be a very tight fabric within which we've got artificial intelligence, smart cities, connected and automated vehicles, you name it. So in this way, we really need to leverage the R&D community, the academic community, to make sure that we're prepared not just from a standpoint of being able to take advantage of those for economic prosperity and security, but also to make sure that we do have that sovereign capability. So despite that increasing threat landscape, we do have to realize that this is an opportunity for us. It presents opportunities in terms of the economy for job creation. We found a study from the Toronto Financial Services Alliance in conjunction with Deloitte, for instance, found that the demand for cybersecurity talent in Canada alone is growing by 7% annually, and it's anticipated that by 2021, there will be 8,000 cybersecurity jobs to fill. So obviously, and you hear this all the time, we're going to have to increasingly find ways to fill that gap. So our first strategy was published in 2010, I'd mentioned that earlier, and it was our plan for defending against cyber threats. And it focused primarily on protecting our government systems, to protect Canadian citizens' information and the services that the government provides to citizens. We also made some efforts to establish partnerships with critical infrastructure partners, sectors, and to help them improve their cybersecurity posture. And as part of reaching out to citizens, we launched a fairly modest awareness campaign, Get Cyber Safe, to help Canadians stay safe online. Bien que la présente stratégie ait donné des résultats positifs, elle a été jugée relativement statique et n'avait pas la capacité d'évaluer avec un contexte changeant. While the strategies yielded very positive results, and it's been foundational for what we need to keep building, it is fairly static, and it's lacking the capability to evolve with a changing landscape. So back in 2010, when the strategy was created, cyber was a scary IT problem. And now it's a global opportunity for safety, security, and prosperity. We have to take very clear note of that. So in the fall of 2015, recognizing the role of digital technology in our lives, the Minister of Public Safety was mandated by the Prime Minister to lead a review of existing measures to protect Canadians from cyber threats. And that cyber review was launched in 2016. On a vu que l'examen a été une occasion d'engager une conversation sur les défis posés par le contexte actuel du cyberspace, les possibilités auxquelles nous faisons face et les façons dont nous devons collaborer sur un enjeu de plus en plus transversal comme la cybersécurité. We saw the review as an opportunity to spark a conversation about challenges presented by the current cyber landscape, the opportunities that come with it, and the ways that we need to collaborate on an increasingly cross-cutting issue like cybersecurity. We had great participation. I was really, really pleased in terms of the responses we got. We got over 2,000 responses from government officials, cybersecurity industry members, private sector leaders and associations, critical infrastructure owners and operators, law enforcement, academia, international partners, and individual Canadians. And hopefully some of you here had participated in that review. And in parallel to that, we did a bit of navel gazing, which is always a good thing to do. We had an evaluation done of the security strategy that went from 2010 to 2015. We looked at a review of what protections we had to our Government of Canada systems. We did an examination of federal cybersecurity governance and coordination, which did lead to our recommendations around the Cybersecurity Center. And we did an extensive policy analysis process. A little bit behind here. So the cyber review confirmed, what your gut kind of says, but you do like the data to support it. And that is, cyber is complex. There are so many different perspectives on it, and it's full of challenges as well as opportunities. And the three ideas that we saw coming out of the public part of the consultation were cybercrime and privacy, skills development, and leadership. Now, what we found important here is that the consultation results with the public mirrored very, very closely what we had done in our own internal reviews and evaluations. So the government's response to what we found through the review and the consultations is our new cybersecurity strategy. And as part of Budget 2018, the government proposed, I'd say, significant investments, in terms of what they have traditionally provided for cyber, of almost $500 million over 5 years, and almost 110 per year ongoing to fund the new strategy, to begin to implement, to begin to realize the goals. So the strategy is very goals and objectives focused, and we have identified the goals of secure and resilient Canadian systems, an innovative and adaptive cyber ecosystem, and effective leadership, governance, and collaboration. And I do want to point out that this is a strategy, it's not just for the federal government, this is a national strategy. So as leading in this area, the federal government is saying, these are the three goals that we want all of us to work together to try and achieve. And not just working together, but hopefully you'll get benefits from what the strategy is trying to achieve as well. So for instance, for researchers and academics, what we see is that the strategy is going to support nationally the advancement in research, innovation, skills development, and overall knowledge. Again, in turn, the federal government will be looking to all of you for support and focus in attaining the goals that we've outlined in the strategy. Pour la mise en œuvre de cette stratégie, le gouvernement collaborera avec des partenaires clés comme les autres ordres de gouvernement, le milieu des affaires, le milieu universitaire et des partenaires internationaux de confiance. So we're going to be working with partners from other levels of government, the business community, academia, and obviously our trusted international partners. So, in support of the strategy's first goal of secure and resilient Canadian systems, new measures will focus on enhancing critical infrastructure protection and federal enforcement capacity in cybercrime. So the objectives here, we've set out some goals. The objectives at a high level are to create a clear picture of the threats to national security and our ability to defend critical networks. Enhancements will be made to our ability to collect intelligence on cyber threats and our ability for law enforcement to investigate and respond to cybercrime. The second goal of an innovative and adaptive ecosystem, we're going to support advanced research and development, foster digital innovation, drive investment, and develop skills and knowledge to position us so that we can compete globally. In support of effective leadership and collaboration, the government in collaboration with our provinces and territories, because a lot of what we want to do lies within provincial territorial jurisdiction, and with the private sector, we're going to take a leadership role to support efforts to raise the baseline of cybersecurity in Canada. And I'll just take this point, to say, again, it's not just an IT or technology issue. We have to leverage partnerships that are non-traditional. And I always like to bring up the insurance folks, because cyber insurance has the potential to drive behaviors the way we want them to go, to drive that built-in security that we'd all like to see. As Ian had mentioned earlier, using the press to get messages out, effectively using communications folks, and also the policy and legal communities. When you look at how we might be able to build some of this into national policy or law. So we're going to complement these domestic efforts by working with our international allies, partners, and we're going to reduce the threat, but we're also going to hopefully be able to implant Canadian values into the use of the internet and IT products and services worldwide. So I want to go on to the tangibles. How have we actually started, since the strategy was released, how have we actually started to move on achieving the goals and objectives of the strategy? So in Budget 2018, the government announced investments of $116 million over the next 5 years and ongoing investments of $23.2 million per year for the creation of the National Cybercrime Coordination Unit within the RCMP. So I'm going to leave the details of that to Jeff. He'll do a much better job than I would of describing the whole thing. So that's one of the ways that we'll be working on achieving goal number 1. Goal number 2, in terms of the innovative and adaptive ecosystem, we have a role to play to foster cyber research. I'm going to dwell on this goal a little bit because I think it's important for this audience. One of the ways that we plan to take action to support this innovative and adaptive ecosystem is through the renewal and expansion of our Cybersecurity Cooperation Program, the CSCP. So you may have heard that the CSCP is our grants and contributions program at Public Safety, and it offers funding to support projects that are aimed at improving the security of our cybersecurity systems. And it has already supported a range of stakeholders in the academic institutions, associations, and private sector partners. And yes, SERENE-RISC is also one of our big partners and a recipient of the CSCP funds. So Budget 2018 allocated additional funding to the program, and we're hoping to launch an expanded program in 2019. So while the old streams primarily focused on security and resilience, best practices, tools and training, the expanded program, we're going to move it a bit to align with the new strategy. So that's to say we envision that the program will promote projects in support of 3 streams. So there will be the security and resilience, the innovation, and the leadership streams. Let me see here. I'm behind. You'll have to excuse me. All right. So the goal is going to be that we're positioning the program to help meet the needs of stakeholders to help us achieve the goals of the strategy. So it's going to provide us flexibility for the program to adapt also. It'll allow us to position ourselves to maximize future investments with the program recipients by supporting initiatives and research that respond to the emerging trends and challenges that we find that crop up without even, any warning whatsoever. So, like previous years, we'll have our call out for the program in February of March 2019. So during this 6-week period, stakeholders are encouraged to submit proposals. The call out period ends after the 6 weeks. We put together an external review board to review each of the proposals against the requirements of the program. And then the recipients usually find out if their proposal's been accepted or rejected early April, and the money starts flowing soon thereafter. Sometimes there's an additional call-out period in the fall, usually September, where you have another opportunity to put forward proposals for funding. In general, you can find out about our G's and C's program, including any upcoming call-out periods, by going to our website or to our Twitter account. And we do have a generic inbox for the program, ps.cybersecurity cooperation program-programme de coopération en matière de cybersécurité.sp@canada.ca. Yeah, I'm sure you all have that now. Anyway, just to say, that one's monitored daily. And if you have any questions about the program or the upcoming cycle, you're free to check into that, and you can, ask me to repeat that afterward if you'd like it. But I do want to mention that given the increasing emphasis that is being placed on cyber issues, there's a possibility that we will have additional funding available for the program this fiscal year. So I encourage you, if you're interested in submitting proposals, with the caveat that the funding would have to be used by the recipients prior to the end of the fiscal year, which is the 31st of March. Keep your eye on the website, because there will potentially be another call out this fall. Okay, so in terms of goal 3, in terms of showing that leadership and collaboration, good governance, the budget did announce $155.2 million over 5 years and $44.5 million ongoing for the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity. And you heard all about that from Scott this morning. One of the things that, just as an aside, we did a tabletop exercise across departments involved in operational cybersecurity incident response. And what we saw there, what I saw, I'm going to use my personal experience in the tabletop exercise, was that the center, having been created, really did make a difference in our ability to respond to incidents. So we did the tabletop exercises if the center was up and running, fully, staffed and going. And from my perspective at public safety, it was very clear that this was an improvement in our ability to handle those type of incidents and know who we needed to talk to within government. So I was very encouraged by that, and I'm really happy that the work that we had done to prepare the way for that center actually came to fruition. So that's a good thing. I'm not going to go into details on that since you heard about it this morning. So, looking into the future, as I mentioned, the strategy provides a vision for encouraging security and prosperity in the digital age. And in order to deliver on this vision, it's critical that we continue building partnerships and collaborating across all sectors of the economy. I couldn't agree with Scott Jones more when he says that, it's a very Canadian thing. We're a small community, and it's, I guess, incumbent upon us to use that advantage to really be proactive in building those partnerships. I look at the US and I don't know how they do it. It's, you go into a room to discuss a subject and there's 20 of them and one of you. And to me, it's an advantage. And I saw that also when I was at NASA, because when you have that capability to be one organization or one person that's so versatile, you can really pull these elements together in a knowledgeable way, in a strategic way that helps you collectively move forward together much, much more easily, with more agility and a better strategic view and outcome than should you be in little pockets here and there trying to connect. So part of my job now at public safety is to figure out how to bring these groups together, to get some of these mappings, to try and force multiply. And obviously working with the center who will be doing that in the technical and operational space, leveraging that to inform the broader community of within the private sector of policymakers, lawmakers, decision makers. This is going to be a very important thing that we, within public safety, are mandated to do. And obviously, from what you've heard, I cannot do it alone. My department can't do it alone. And we're looking to all of you to come up with those good ideas to, say, I'm here, I'm doing really cool stuff. Who can I join with to really get this thing going? So really think about how you and your work contribute to delivering on the goals, and be in touch with us, work with the center, and I'd really like to see it all come together. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about that. Thank you.